Well, welcome everyone to the MyMed Choices Global Series. And I want to first of all thank our distinguished group of panelists today. And they will be speaking in just a minute here. And I also want to thank everyone that is joining us on our webinar. In the United States, it's 8 p.m. So grab your glass of tea or wine, whatever your pleasure. And in South Korea, it is 9 a.m. So I'm sure you're having a nice cup of tea. So my name is Mary, and I am the founder and CEO of MyMed Choices. Let me tell you a little bit about MyMed Choices. MyMed Choices is a global marketplace. And what we do is we put the control back into the patient's hands so that you are making the decisions in regard to your health and wellness care. We consider ourselves the Amazon of healthcare. So what I've done is I've spent some time traveling the globe, and probably about the last 7 years, I've gone anywhere from 6 to 8 countries throughout the world. And I've studied the healthcare system. I've looked at what is the best in class in regard to health as well as wellness. And I put together our databases, I talked to our partners, and then I approached not only patients, but also Fortune 500 companies that are self-funded to offer them the best pricing as well as the highest quality of care. So we've started our global series off with South Korea. And next month we have Australia, then we have Israel, Turkey. We just have a fabulous layout of the entire year. The purpose of this is to make you aware of your healthcare options and choices and what's out there, and that you don't have to stay within your geographical area in order to get healthcare, that you can explore that area. Once we've gathered all the countries together, then what we're going to do is collectively come together and problem solve each of the countries so that if we ever do run into something like COVID again, we will be communicating across a global basis. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the floor over to Ken Yang. And Ken is with the Korean Business Services. And I met Ken several years ago when I was traveling South Korea. I worked with a global export. And Ken did a fantastic job at not only organized very targeted visits with hospitals and providers, but also with top-notch interpreters. So Ken is going to give us an overview of the country, kind of a state of the union for South Korea. And he'll give us how post-COVID, as well as some of the really innovative things South Korea is doing. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Ken. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Mary, to bring me these opportunities, about South Korea. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Rainy Seoul, South Korea. So South Korea, probably you may know that there's some 50 million people, living in here, which is the size of Indiana in the US, but we have a very dynamic, momentum at this time. So I want to touch about, how South Korean government or individuals and businesses respond to the, pandemic. Probably, you may know that South Korea is among the leading country to contain well of this COVID-19 in here. So, at this moment that, it seems like a long tail, the kind of COVID-19 cases are, showing us, but at this moment that, we do have, sporadic additional confirmed cases happen every day from the 20 to 60 around that. But no matter what, during the last the 6 months, that how South Korea contain and control and manage this COVID-19. And then the BBC News, they kind of broadcast that test, trace, and treat or isolate. So no matter where all the South Korean people, they are they can do the test. And then if something happened, then the government, they use all the mobile phone, GPS, and whatever kind of trace and then treat them. So this is how we contain and maintain during the last 6 months in here. But still, we do have sporadic cluster transmission happening in South Korea. So not only in closed church, but even the bars and clubs and even temples. So just no matter what in here, that around my office in here, there was a one confirmed cases happened, but over the 5,000 people they tested, so to trace these confirmed cases. So this is somehow happening. And I noticed that this early May that there was a young guy, they gathered all that the Itaewon the clubs, and just one man spread out 150 cases. And then also there's a several door-to-door sales company. The one guy kind of spread out 210, and then another tennis club 27, and I didn't have that information in here, but one the temple in here that 141. So this kind of small regional cluster sporadic transmission happening in South Korea. But no matter what, the largely kind of controlled by all the healthcare professionals in here, that we are really enjoying the normal life at this moment. So for international travelers, no matter what, there's a 2 weeks mandatory quarantine period you need it, but somehow it is not publicly announced, but there's a quarantine exemption, the fast track exemption. But if you are traveling to South Korea, and you can ask consulate office in New York and Washington DC or Chicago, or and then you can prove that you are negative, and then you can get the exemption paper. So whenever you bring with this exemption paper, and once you arrive, so you are tested at the airport or at the facility center, and you stay one night over there, and then you are tested and you are negative, then you can absolutely doing the normal kind of business activities. This is only for business purposes or even the personal issues. So we are talking about the travel bubbles or somehow the immunity passport with certain countries in here, but there's a quarantine exemption fast track cases still in here. But no matter what, the ordinary people, there's some 2 weeks quarantine, period you need it. I mean, pandemic is every year. The in order to overcome this hard time, that the government set the additional funding for economic stimulus or some supplementary budget, or even we do have disaster emergency disaster relief funds, which around $40 billion spent, and this money have to spend by end of August. And then the other week, last week, the South Korean government, they especially announced South Korea's New Deal initiative with over $133 billion investment project for the next 5 years, which is really amazing. Kind of this is kind of a New Deal initiative, and specifically in here that there is digital New Deal or Green New Deal. So absolutely, this is how the government or South Korea foresee for the coming next 5 years. So this is, I mean, digital, transformation is inevitable. So a lot of, kind of, new initiative programs are, being, implemented and programmed in here. So traditionally, South Korea, this is the, aerospace, automobile, petrochemical, construction, and semiconductor, even the mobile handset, steel, textile, these are, top 10 South Korean industries. But even the foreign commercial service in the embassy, they, listed, top 10, promising industry sectors, which is the right part of this slide. But this is very, up until the last year, but now we are, living in different, the environment. So probably this, the ways of, approaching the industry is different. So I want to touch about how, during the last, 6-7 months that, how the individuals and businesses and governments introduce or prepare, to living in the next normal. So next normal or some new normals, but next normal, McKinsey Consulting, they, always say that the next normal. So this is more like a contactless, which means that on contact or digital transformation, automation, and digital healthcare, and then mobility. So I want to, touch about this top, 5. On tech, this is kind of weird, terminology. So this is, contactless. 2018, the Kim Nam-do, professor of Seoul National University, he's a kind of, trend-setting, professor. He used this terminology as on-tech. So on-tech means that contactless. So without, in-person, face-to-face meeting, that, this is how we are living over there. So this is on-tech or online contact. So this is, not only for telemedicine, telecommuting, but e-health, e-education, cybersecurity, robotics, food tech, and e-learning. So there are, everything is on-tech and on-tech so-called in here. So this is the contactless. So with that, we, even just like in the US, even the Europe, that the e-commerce market is huge, especially in South Korea. This is over, 50% of South Korean people are living in Seoul and East suburban area, so all the metropolitan area. So the delivery service is, phenomenal. So the lot of, people in here, they can order, anything that you want to buy, and then they can deliver the next day. So especially at the, the right side of that, the Market Curly, they just start their, delivery service, online sales service, business 5 years ago. So they start only 17 items. And then now, their total sales, reach to $450 million. So this is, absolutely, the e-commerce market is really growing in here. And then we do, whatever you do, order up until 11 p.m. Then next morning, when you open your door, then there's some, the boxes are delivered to your, your home. So on tech, not only for business but also individuals. So there are some. We see that a lot of, new initiative, even the QR, code ordering. You can need to, have the face-to-face meeting, but even, self-service kiosk, there's a lot of, convenience store that you can, touch, and then you can order, and then you can pick up. And then even the unmanned cafeteria is also available in here. And also at the convenience store, no cashier. So all the automatic, you can choose, and you can, pay all your bio pay, systems. And then also there's an online concert. The BTS, absolutely, probably you may know that, one of the K-pop star, and 750,000 people, they view online, when they have, online concert, virtual concert. So with that, all the individuals, at this moment that they cannot travel to overseas, over usually 30 million people, every year, South Korean people, they are travel to overseas, but, at this time, not happen, in here. So Korea Tourism Organization, they choose top 100, untagged tourist, sites, they recommend, so which is more, enjoying the natural. So with that, at this moment, the Jeju Island, is one of the top, the biggest, island in South Korea, and a lot of, people they are visiting for vacation. But over the 1.2 million, every month, they are visiting. So in the beginning, the March and the February, March, and April, no travelers over there. But now it's come back, and also individuals. At this moment, so-called chabak, which means that sleep in car or camping car. This is booming in here. So all the tents and camping car, the demands are increasing tremendously. So a lot of people they cannot travel to overseas. They travel and then visit. South Korea is over 70% of all the Korean territory is kind of mountains. So there are so many attractions in here. So usually the people enjoying that one. And type of on-tech business, there's a security, biometric authentication. So this is really this kind of on-tech type of business is introduced in South Korea, not only for banking but also the other previously they used the fingerprint, but now they recognize their face or even their hands, palm. So even at the airports or banks, this is really businesses are preparing for this type of the on-tech methodology. And probably e-learning, e-education, online virtual schools. This is really phenomenon in here. So just like in the US. So especially e-learning, e-education, now we are, complete schools are open, but somehow, schools are closed or reopen, depends on, their kids are, confirmed, but one-on-one, but no matter what, all the school, kids are, they tested and traced, everything in here. But still the e-learning is really, really booming. And especially we do have, the education broadcasting system. This is more like online educational broadcasting channel. So we have 3 channels in here. So all the school kids, primary school and middle school and high school students, they learn, but somehow high school students, they are in schools, in class. So digital transformation is everywhere. A lot of businesses, they are preparing for that, and they use that AI. Artificial intelligence system. So they using this one. This is every, newspaper, you see that, all different industries, fintech, renewable energy, smart city, smart farm, drone, future vehicle, this is, they are using, AI. So digital transformation absolutely accelerate the new normal in South Korea. As I mentioned earlier that, the government, introduced the Digital New Deal initiative. So total $48 billion spent for the next, 5 years. So, not only for that, this is the healthcare. I will touch more about the healthcare, but, digital healthcare is also, hot, promising sector in here. And especially the service robots is very popular in the U.S. More like a kind of defense related robot is popular, but in here all the the robots, they screen the body temperature, even at the bank the kind of the robot process automation. So RPA is really booming in South Korea. And then also there's I know that this company they introduce all the the robots to brewing the coffee, and they are serving to your table. So this is the 24-hour, unmanned, coffee shop, robots, serving in here. So it's changing, the lifestyle is changing, and this is really, we see that as a, new normal in South Korea. This is all the corporate, they using automation, the robots and AI. This is, not only this time, but during the last, 30 years that, all the factory automation, the industries are really, introduced this one. And then this is an, survey in late May that all these South Korean individuals, they are, ready to use AI technologies and AI services. So majority of, Korean people and consumers, they are, ready to use, AI in here. So this is pretty much, unmanned stores, robot-related service, those are, popular in South Korea. Smart factory, probably this may be not directly related, but, kind of smart factory is the key to improve, productivity. So by next 2 years, South Korean government strongly encouraging to build over 30,000, factories, smart factories in here. The market size is kind of, increasing almost, $5 billion size in here. And even, the test kit, companies, they use, all that kind of, production quality and quantity, they use more, smartly. So, they increase the productivity in here. And then smart village, not like the other, but smart village, at this moment, we are, projecting 4 smart villages, but this is more like, not a smart city, but more like a rural, area. So they use smart village. This is a big, initiative in South Korea. Smart farming, I noticed that there's 4, smart farms already, introduced. So this is like a more, urban farming, the big metropolitan city, no enough, arable land, and they use this, smart farming in here. So this is very promising in here. And then I, mentioned that digital healthcare, absolutely, this is related of your business. So digital healthcare at this moment is $2 billion market size, as of last year. But for the next 4 years, absolutely it will be reach to $5 billion market size. And medtech, medical device, is total $5.6 billion market size. But out of them, 40% of all the medical equipments are imported from United States. Pharmaceutical is almost $19 billion market size. So all the healthcare, South Korea is very strong in terms of ICT, information communication technology. So the digital healthcare and smart, healthcare, or whatever the healthcare industry is really booming in here. So our medical system, is government is strong, whatever, the consumers, government encouraging people to use the the regional, clinic center. So so-called, primary care, secondary care, and tertiary care. So, but no matter what, this is what, our, medical systems, but somehow telemedicine, telehealth, I know that a certain country already open, but, still not allowed. But with this, COVID-19, so it is inevitable to, to kind of, use this, telemedicine. So I believe that telemedicine, telehealth is really, promising in here. As part of, government initiative, the healthcare is also, the key area. So this is more, the building telemedicine service, so government encouraging, and now there's a lot of, medical center and hospital, they do prepare this really, telehealth, system in here. And we noticed that there's several leading, medical center. Asa Medical Center is one of the top-notch, medical center in South Korea. Probably, the Dr. Jo may, speak about her hospital, but this is really, but somehow telemedicine platform, but we have some issues internally, but the key thing is that, a lot of, the patient, they are more, focusing on more, bigger size medical center. So whenever they are getting sick and they, patients are really considered specific, hospital. So how we can diverse and, there's a lot of, discussion, procedures, how we can introduce telemedicine, but absolutely, telemedicine is, still, kind of ongoing. So there's several cases I bring in. So there's a lot of, the kind of medical tourism is so booming during the last, 10, 15 years in South Korea. So somehow their patient, they're using all that, the digital, meeting, platform to, serving their, medical services in South Korea. Well, this is not related, but kind of a mobility, very interesting. So probably you may get in, so a little bit, heavy traffic, downtown, you can easily see. But whenever you arrive, maybe, next couple of years, that whenever you arrive in Incheon Airport, there might be some drone taxis. So kind of government and industry, they initiate. Hyundai Motor and Uber, they announced that the personal air vehicle service, probably they may do very soon. And then the Seoul City government, they also announced that the air taxi service. So once you arrive in Incheon Airport, there's a lot of traffic to get into downtown Seoul, but you may use this air taxi, then probably within 10 minutes you can get into the medical center or whatever in downtown Seoul. So this is very interesting project in here. And then I didn't touch about the electric vehicle, but the Tesla, the first kind of half of this year, that their sales are increasing by 1,450%. But I didn't touch about the electric vehicle. Every the automakers, they are using kind of electric vehicle, but switching to the air. But right now, the very interesting thing is the hydrogen vehicle. So Hyundai and then one Switzerland logistic company, they developed, they agreed, and they agreed to deliver 1,600 vehicles. This is a really trucks. So all the fuels are using hydrogen. So the fuel cells, the ones at this moment that if you full kind of charged, it runs 400 kilometers, but absolutely 250 miles. But they allow developing up to 600 miles kind of they can driving with these trucks. So this is very interesting. I've been seeing that not only for this hydrogen car, but hydrogen fueling station. Fuel station is booming. So we need more and more, just like electric vehicle charging system, but hydrogen fueling systems. So I noticed that there's many parts and components suppliers. They are really looking for participating this one. So this is kind of global. So Hyundai Motor, there's only 2 countries, South Korea and Japan, they use this hydrogen vehicle. So I believe that this kind of bring us more business opportunities in here. So well, this is my last slide, but no matter what, stay connected. So I noticed that in the US there's the reopening of business, but somehow the waves are up. But no matter what, contact regularly with your partners and your customers, and this is really we need it. So there are so many digital meeting tools available. So I see that your partners mostly communicate regularly, and then we did survey all the Korean businesses. So they are over 70% of those Korean companies are ready to meet with all the digital meeting tools, Zooms and Teams and Google Meets and Skype or whatever, go to the meeting and everything, they use this one. And then lastly, always I'm saying by myself that be innovative, be creative to overcome this COVID-19. So this is my last slide. We are based in Seoul, South Korea. So we are very closely working with Mary. So during the last 5 years, so we really enjoy the Mary's idea, Mary's services introduced to the Korean market. So thank you for listening. So pretty much enjoying honored having this opportunity to talk about South Korean market. I will turn over to Mary.
Great, thank you so much, Ken. And I see you, Sophia, on that list. She's just so fabulous. She was my interpreter the last time I was in Korea, so thank you so much. So I am going to turn the floor over now to Juri So, and she is with the Korean Tourism Organization. And I met her colleagues when I was over in South Korea. Everyone was just so fabulous. Thank you so much for everything you provided in regard to the tourism aspect. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Juri, who's going to talk a little bit about the tourism, the new normal, and traveling to South Korea. But before I turn the floor over, I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, why, Mary, are you teasing me with all this wonderful South Korean trips and innovation and everything that's going on in South Korea, and then we can't travel right now, or we're a little more leery about traveling? MyMed Choices is not sending any patients overseas till probably around January of 2021. But it's my job to give you more choices and options. It's my job to open your eyes to some of the wonderful things that Ken has shown you. So you do a little research. Now you start thinking about your health and wellness care in a little different light. You may want to explore some of the innovative things that Asan has to offer, or some of the other facilities. So I want you to start thinking a little differently when it comes to kind of breaking out of those geographical borders that confine you to the States in the United States. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Juri, and she's going to talk a little bit about the traveling experience going to South Korea.
Thank you, Mary. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. This is Juri from Korea Tourism Organization. Korea Tourism Organization is a government agency with a vision to lead the way to sustainable tourism and balanced development. And medical tourism is one of the focuses of travel that KTO oversees. I'm based in New Jersey, so if you have any questions about medical tourism or tourism in general, please do not hesitate to contact me. So tourism industry in Korea was highly hit by COVID-19, just like many other countries have experienced. Based on statistics in April, inbound foreign travelers to Korea decreased by 98% compared to April last year due to travel restrictions around the world. It is predicted that medical tourism also has been affected by the pandemic. However, I am confident that the medical tourism will be bouncing back. Medical tourism in Korea has been rapidly growing over the years from 2009 up until last year, and the number has increased annually by about 23%, reaching more than 350,000 foreign patients from 190 countries a year. Korea is a recognized country worldwide as a medical tourism destination. Korea was the winner of Destination of the Year at the IMTJ Medical Travel Summit in 2018 and Recognizing Innovation in Healthcare Award at World Medical Tourism Congress in 2018. Having top medical doctors, advanced technology, and reasonable price, it allowed Korea to become a world leader in medical tourism. Major Korean companies like Samsung and LG also provide a tremendous amount towards research and development in new technologies and state-of-the-art equipment for healthcare. And medical services that are popular among international patients are cancer treatment, plastic surgery, IVF treatment, health checkup, and organ transplant. Possibly in the next 5 years, projections tell that Korea will receive increase in number of visitors looking for the excellence in medical treatment in these areas. And of course, affordable price of treatments is a valuable reason to choose Korea. Price of medical treatment in Korea is more affordable compared to the United States. The overall price is about 20 to 30% of the cost in the United States. For instance, heart bypass costs over $123,000 in the United States, whereas it costs only $26,000 in Korea. And also for IVF treatment, it costs slightly over $12,000 in the United States, while it costs about $8,000 in Korea. So top doctors, state-of-the-art technology, and affordable price are valuable reasons why you should choose Korea for healthcare treatments in the future. And now let me bring up some of the important safety protocols that are currently in place in Korea amid the outbreak. One of the major safety measures that the Korean government has implemented is special entry procedures, as well as mandatory 14-day quarantine for every individual entering Korea, just like Kent has mentioned in his presentation. I know that most of people are reluctant to travel until 14-day quarantine is lifted, but let's just positive that it is still possible to travel to Korea for those ones who wish to get treatment in Korea, because our border is still open and it is not closed. And a lot of safety protocols have implemented to ensure the safety of the travelers. Upon arrival at the airport and before going through immigration, visitors have to download mobile application on their phones to record their daily health status for 14 days, and they will also be screening for symptoms at entry screening. Downloading proper applications will not be difficult because travelers will receive assistance from the airport staff. Asymptomatic visitors from the United States on short term up to 90 days are required to receive an open walk-through COVID-19 test at the airport, and this process takes only about 5 minutes. Once the visitors go through immigration and COVID-19 quarantine regulations control procedure, they can have access to their travel bags. The travelers will then follow the airport staff to take assigned transportation to their quarantine facilities. As a safety protocols, the airport has designated transit vehicles to move to the facility. It is predicted that some of travelers concerned about the airport not being a safe place, but Incheon Airport is taking actions to ensure safety of the travelers. They have implemented stronger disinfection, sterilization, and sanitization. Air ventilation is provided 24 hours, 7 days to improve air quality. Hand sanitizer is available everywhere at the airport. Personal protective equipment is provided to the airport staff who encounter passengers, and so on. They have also separated transportation for international arrivals by designating special taxis and public transportation. Hotels in Korea also have implemented safety measures. Measures are different by the hotels, but some of the examples are utilizing thermal imaging cameras to detect fever, requiring to measure guest body temperature upon check-in, actively sanitizing floors and facilities, requiring all staff to wear masks, and so on. Also, to prevent the spread of the virus, it is mandatory for people to wear face masks all the time when using public transportation like bus, taxi, and subway in Korea. Because of the measures taken in Korea, daily confirmed cases are very low right now, and it is under control. So it became one of the safest countries to travel. Lastly, to add on to the information for future medical travelers, the United States is one of the visa exemption countries to Korea. So US citizens can come to Korea without visa and stay up to 90 days. It is suitable for simple medical procedures such as cosmetic surgery, medical checkups, and so on. For those ones who need more complex and specialized treatments and need more than 90 days, they need a long-term visa, which can be applied at embassies or consulate of the Republic of Korea. Patients can apply for the visa at the consulate directly, or they can apply through a medical agency. So this is all I have for today, and I will turn over to Mary. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Jury. Can you, is it on, is my mic on? Thank you so much, Jury. And I just absolutely love South Korea. It's so easy to navigate through also with things in English as well as Korean. It's very easy to navigate. So thank you so much. We're now going to we're going to turn the floor over to Dr. Cho with Asan Medical Center. And we had MyMed Choices had an MOU signing in January with Asan, just a top-notch facility. We're just so glad to have you here. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Dr. Cho.
Hi guys. My name is Won Kyung Cho, and I'm one of the doctors at the International Healthcare Center of Asan Medical Center. You guys just can call me like Won. And anyway, Mary gave us a few questions. I guess I'm supposed to answer her questions one by one. And the first question we got is, how did Asan Medical Center manage COVID-19? And is there any new protocol implemented after the outbreak? I think Asan Medical Center is doing a fantastic job at controlling COVID-19. Yes, we've had a couple of cases, COVID cases, and some of them came to us with known infection. Basically, they came to us for better management, and but others came to us without knowing their infection, and later we found out their infection. I guess for those cases, it could have been quite challenging to manage it, but somehow, surprisingly, we did not get any new additional cases related to those original cases. So that means we are doing something right to prevent the spread of this deadly virus. So I guess it makes you wonder what we have been doing for that. So if you come to Asan Medical Center, you cannot go into the building. You cannot enter the building without wearing a mask or without using hand sanitizer. And then we take temperature from everybody. And you go to the outpatient clinic, and we checked all the epidemiological correlation from everybody before checking in. So if there is any suspicion, we send a patient back to the screening clinic located outside the building. As for the inpatients, there is no exception. You have to wear a mask, and also we allow only one caregiver patient any given day, which will limit the number of people inside of the building. And also, Asan has developed a new application. So through this app, everybody in hospital is supposed to report any suspected symptoms every day. So I guess this is the kind of brief summary of what we have been doing to cope with this the pandemic. And the second question is, why should international patients choose South Korea to get medical treatments? So I guess this has been answered by Jury just before. So I'm just going to skip this question, and then I'm going to move to the next question. Question number 3 was, why should they choose Asan Medical Center? So overall, I'm very proud of the Korea's the medical system. And then the reason why you guys have to choose Asan Medical Center is because we are the #1 in Korea. So Asan is a huge medical center. Other than this, the main hospital unit, we have several specialized centers and research institute, as well as 3 different emergency rooms. So I say 3 different emergency rooms. That means like we have the regular ER and the pediatric ER, and also emergency room only for like cancer patient. So this type of emergency room, like only for cancer patient, actually we are the first one to have in the world. So regarding this hospital size, we have about like 3,000 hospital beds, and also like 1,700 doctors about, and about 4,000 nurses are working for the hospital, and we see like average like 12,000 patients at outpatient clinic in a day, and also we perform like about 270 surgeries in a day. So these are huge numbers, which means we're very experienced in taking care of patients. So I guess the best way to evaluate us objectively is to look at how outside world is evaluating us. And recently, the Newsweek magazine evaluated us and ranked us #1 in Korea. This evaluation is based on patient satisfaction, medical achievement, and expert opinion. So I guess it will not be that straightforward to make a direct comparison with the other hospital in other country. But I have to say, I mean, they recognize us as one of the world best hospitals. And another evaluation was done recently done by the Nature. The Nature is a top science journal in the world, and they dedicated 2 pages to introducing us to the world. And apparently, Nature was very impressed with the way we manage cancer patients. So our Cancer Institute has developed a few cutting-edge technology to the DNA sequencing. And then all those sequenced DNA data is used to match the patient to one of the clinical trials, and which has been very successful. And basically, with the cancer patient at the multidisciplinary clinic. So which means, let's say you have lung cancer. So the pulmonologist, oncologist, chest surgeon, the radiation oncologist, pathologist, all the doctors from different medical field are there together to discuss and determine the best treatment of the patient. So I guess no wonder why Nature was so impressed with the way we manage cancer patients. What about domestic evaluation? Asan Medical Center has been selected the most admirable hospital in Korea for 14 consecutive years. So, I mean, altogether, I have to say we have a very good reputation overall. That's the reason why you guys have to Asan Medical Center if you come to Korea. I can move on to the next question. So the question is, what are Asan Medical Center's areas of expertise and strengths? So I just mentioned about our Cancer Institute, and then let me introduce a few other specialized centers. The first one is a transplantation center. So we have the highest case number of transplantation in Korea each year, and overall the transplantation success rate is comparable to those of world-leading transplantation center. So among the transplantation team, our liver transplant team is the world best in performing living during the liver transplant. And actually, they performed the first case, and they still have the highest case number in each year in the world. So this is very remarkable achievement for them. And the second center I want to introduce is our heart center. So the cardiologists, our cardiologists are at Heart Center. They are superb in performing a non-surgical like intervention, especially for coronary artery disease and valvular heart disease. So, for example, in the past, the only treatment for the left main stem coronary artery disease was surgery. But our cardiologist tried to place a stent into the left main coronary artery, which was successful. And then now actually it has become the standard treatment for the left main stem coronary artery disease. Another example, like showing their clinical excellence, is the fantastic outcome of TIVA procedure. This TIVA procedure is a non-surgical way to fix the severe aortic valve disease, I mean, without surgery. And it's a very complicated procedure, but we have such a fantastic outcome in performing this procedure. So, and also, our cardiologists, they are involved in many clinical trials in collaboration with other hospitals in Korea or in other countries. So this many clinical trials basically have enabled them to get a few publications in the New England Journal of Medicine. So this New England Journal of Medicine is almost like a top clinical journal in the world. This is a very prestigious journal, so we are very proud of our cardiologists. And the next center I want to introduce is our health screening and promotion center. So at that center, we offer age-specific, gender-specific, very customized health checkup just for you. So basically, in US, you guys get a physical like once or twice a year. But when you get a physical, so you get just basic checkup as well as a few basic blood tests. But I'm not really talking about that kind of physical here. And at our center, we offer everything like MRI, ultrasound, Doppler, CAT scan, you name it. You can get all those very detailed, fancy kind of tests at very affordable price, basically as a package deal. So I think this one you should try. I mean, someday. That's my strong recommendation. And the last center I want to comment on is our International Healthcare Center. So we have 4 physicians at our center, and the 3 of them are family physicians, and one is a pulmonologist. I mean, that will be me. And so if an international patient comes to us medical center, you're supposed to come to our center first. And one of us will serve you as a primary care physician for you in Korea. And then if you have any specific medical problem, we will refer you to one of the specialists at the center. So also we help people who seek a second opinion as well. So we help you to get the second opinion from one of the specialists at the center. So you don't need to come to our hospital to utilize our medical system. So other than this medical care you can get, we also offer a fantastic concierge service. So which means we help to get a schedule, appointment. Also, we help like airport pickup, interpreter service, or like a preparation of travel document, like a visa assistant. Basically, we help you anything you need. So if you come to the Korea, you should visit Asa Medical Center, and then you should visit the International Healthcare Center first. I guess this is my answers. So I guess I have to pass the floor back to Dr. Swanson.
Thank you. very informative, and you are one of our partners. So we do make the referrals, and once the market opens up again, you will be seeing our faces. Emma, do we have any questions? We did open up the floor for questions for Asan Medical Center, Dr. Cho, and why don't we take 2 questions, and if you could please present them to Dr. Cho.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mary. The first question for Dr. Cho is, are there any impressive foreign patient treatment cases that came up during COVID-19 that Asan has taken care of?
Yes, I mean, there's one case came to my mind. He's like a Mongolian boy with a brain tumor. And his condition was getting worse when his dad contacted us. So the tumor had to be taken out as quickly as possible, but they couldn't find a neurosurgeon who could do that. So his dad contacted us, and we found one. But the thing is, due to this COVID situation, they couldn't find a plane. So they searched, and then suddenly they found one. But the thing is, so to get surgery done, they had to prepare all the travel documents. So our concierge team, all of a sudden they showed up, and then they managed everything. In such a fantastic way. And then this boy came to us, and then the surgery, and he cured. So this is like a happy ending story. That's the reason why I want to share it with you guys.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. The next question is, do you have any recommendations for US patients who want to visit your medical center?
I guess I already talked about it. So when you come to Asan Medical Center, you should visit us, like International Healthcare Center first. Basically, we'll take care of everything you need. So I guess, you can ask the second opinion as well. So yeah, in that case, you don't need to come to Asan Medical Center. So I guess you guys wondering how to get a hold of us. So you can just Google it. You can find our website very easily. So you can get all the information needed from our website. So that's it, yeah.
Or you could contact MyMed Choices.
That's correct. Talk to Mary.
And then we'll coordinate the services for you. So thank you so much. Wonderful. And you have such a beautiful facility and such talented doctors, physicians, and providers. It was a great joy to come visit you and also have you as our guest in the United States when we did the MOU signings. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm now going to turn the floor over to Dr. Malik. Dr. Malik is with the Delaware Center for Cosmetic Surgery. He is in Delaware, United States, and he's going to give us an overview in regard to kind of the state of the union in regard to COVID in the United States, COVID, post-COVID. And he's also, Dr. Malik and I have had very interesting conversations in regard to our US traveler and how they travel overseas and what systems and processes we can put in place for when that traveler does come back to the United States. So we're looking at that whole wellness component. So we've also started that dialogue. We're building that out to ensure that continuous quality of care. So I will now turn the floor over to you, Dr. Malik. Emma, you have to unmute him. Dr. Malik?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good.
Have the floor.
Good. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be a part of this wonderful panel. First of all, I just fell in love with Korea, and I think that what you have done in Korea in terms of management of COVID-19, as well as the development of multi-specialty with multiple facet healthcare, is very unique. because we know that the services are available in different menu, in different countries, in different format, but putting them together extremely difficult, and coordinate them to be able to and facilitate those healthcare for everybody. That's another big step. So in the United States, basically, we have problem with COVID, as we all have been aware of. And there has been, at the present time, the basic line is application of the test available through serum antibodies, as well as the evaluation of the virus, including PCR. And so basically, if the patient is tested and they're tested negative, they will be quarantined before surgery. And one of the problems is that if you quarantine them for a few days before surgery, and if they may even have contact during those few days, but generally, if the test is positive, then the surgery had to be canceled. So it is technically difficult, but we're working it out, and I think you have done a very good job in kind of stay ahead of that. And the good thing is that as I noticed through your evaluation, the clinical evaluation in terms of symptoms and checking the temperature and the symptoms and the history of the patients are extremely important, and we do that routinely. And even the hospitals that I'm involved with, several wonderful hospitals around here, they basically follow the same guidelines. And so we do test them and follow them and quarantine them before surgery with a specific use of a protective garment during the surgery by the staff and the surgeons, as well as to protect the patients. So I think I've had discussion with Mary related to what's the progress has been in joint effort. And I think that it's a very exciting period for everybody to be able to add to our capabilities. And hopefully with the COVID issue becoming more identified and managed, I would say, we would be able to use our services and cooperative effort as we go toward the future. So I look forward to that, and thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Dr. Malik. And I want to say thank you once again to all our panelists for joining us today. You guys are just fantastic. Thank you so much. I look forward to traveling back to South Korea and experiencing all the wonderful things, not only medical, but also your tourism. I just love Jeju Island with the women divers, 93 years old and diving, and they certainly have a story to tell. So I will be traveling back. So, and I want to thank our audience, everyone, for jumping on a Wednesday night, Thursday morning. We just really appreciate it, and for you taking an interest in the future of healthcare as we build out the travel for treatment, the telehealth, the gathering data so that we can actually have accurate records in regards to who are centers of excellence and provide that to our informed patient. So thank you once again, and stay tuned because next month is Australia. So we will be traveling to Australia. So thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.